here. I know you guys said that Chief Villaseñor was out there. Have you all heard anything from him yet? Are they planning to set up any kind of staging area for the media to let you guys know exactly how this is gonna go down?
You know, we have not. I know I haven't spoken to the chief. I don't think Joel has either. We've just been talking to the lieutenant who's on duty here, who seems to be giving the orders to the protesters and communicating with them. But we haven't been given specifics. Honestly, it's been pretty calm up to this point. They've had police presence here all day. You know, they've had the police on the bicycles and everything all day long, and they really haven't had to do anything until now. They really haven't had people coming out and being defiant like this.
You know, this is not something that we've seen in quite some time here in Tucson.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, the protesters, it would seem this is exactly what they want, to be seen being arrested live on the 5 o'clock news.
It does seem that we are helping give them exactly what they want here, and we did hear rumors of that when we were just out here covering the event earlier this afternoon of something, a big event planned at 4 o'clock. We weren't quite sure what that was going to be, so we came out here to see what it was, and that's when they did start marching around the square. Didn't know that they were going to go in the middle and stay there for so long, but apparently this seems like it is, according to plan, is what they had planned from the beginning.
Okay,
of this event.
Jessica, it's Jennifer here. We're going to break away from you guys here for just a minute. We're going to let you get some more information, gather some more video. Right. We'll check back in with you here in just a minute, but for right now.
Supporters, primarily made up of Tea Party members, they had a permit to be on this corner, but only until 10 a.m. And right at 10 a.m., they all gathered their things and went home. But the opposition to SB 1070, well, they've stuck around all day, and they want to get their message out that they're not completely satisfied with the judge's ruling yesterday.
Tyler, once again on that timeline now, what was it, shortly before 5 o'clock when they started warning people that you only have so much time before we start arresting? What exactly did they say, and how did that go down?
Well, there was an announcement over the bullhorn. I believe it was Lieutenant Pacheco, and he basically told everybody, okay, it's time to disperse. This is now an unlawful assembly, and they gave them probably a good minute or two, and it was almost as if the demonstrators were provoking the police to do exactly what they're doing right now.
We see 2 more people just let off there, Tyler. I guess the total is getting close to 10 now. We see all this action in the street. Is there, as in Phoenix, is there any effort to block buildings? We know there are state and federal buildings right in the vicinity there, or is all the action pretty much centered on the street now where we're watching?
All the action is on the street. Of course they are here because of this federal building here, but there's no blockage of any kind on any buildings that I see. Everyone's pretty much centered around this circle right now, watching what goes on, just like you and me.
And what time? These folks were out there, many of them pretty early today. Tyler, tell us again how early you saw a pretty good sizable number of demonstrators out there.
Well, yeah, this is a continuation of the overnight vigil that took place downtown last night, and they were here early in the morning, and then things started getting going, I don't know, about 9 a.m. Once the pro SB 1070 group showed up, and of course, we were there for that, but they've just stuck around all day, and whether this was a planned thing or not, we don't know. But I think that's number 8 that they've arrested. So
Tyler, I understand. I'm being told now. Are you in any danger of being arrested where you're standing, or are you okay, or do you need to back off a little bit?
Okay.
I'm hearing in my
no,
ear.
I'm on the curb now.
Oh, okay.
But
so you're okay.
But no, they're. I think they got 1 more to go after this.
So
they got 2. They're taking 2 now.
So that'll make what, about a dozen, 14?
I would say that makes under 10 arrests so far.
Yeah, I remember, Tyler, last night we had 2-3 dozen people out there at the beginning of that overnight vigil. At its largest today, about how many people would you say were out there protesting the law?
Yeah, I would say this is about the most I've seen since this demonstration started. You know, they got a lot more people down here since we were here this morning, with, of course, the pro SB1070 people not here at this time.
We're watching the officers now, Tyler, taking these folks away. Are they putting them in police cars? Are they marching them into a temporary kind of situation, or can you tell looking way up the street?
Well, if our cameraman could pan to the right, we could see a whole lot more police assembled. They have police cars waiting. You know, I would imagine they were anticipating this to happen just in case. But police were well prepared, and they've been sitting here waiting. And of course, they gave the demonstrators a fair enough warning.
Yeah, I think you've answered our question. I'm looking behind you now. I see some of the police cars starting to leave, and I do see an arrestee being placed in one of those cars. Tyler, has anyone been arrested outside of what's going on in the street right now?
Well, this morning there was one arrest. It was a misdemeanor threat or intimidation. But since then, this is the first arrest we've seen today. These number of arrests that have just occurred.
And is anyone, I still hear the chanting. It sounds as strong as it was when you first signed on. Is anyone leaving, or is everyone, at least the ones that are hanging on the sidewalk, are they hanging in there at this point?
Nobody has left. You know, some of the people have gotten off to the side of the roads like me, but for the most part, no, the demonstration is still going on. As you can see, they've got the inner circle kind of dispersed. They're moving the signs right now. But I don't know how they're going to get the rest of these people off the street. We'll just have to watch.
Tyler, going back to earlier today, describe a little bit more as sort of the nature and the character of the demonstration that took place. Were these folks pretty much, you know, out in front of the buildings with their signs and pretty mellow for the most part during the day?
Well, yes, Tom, and we've seen a number of these SB1070 demonstrations over the past few months, and it was, you know, just like a lot of them, and they seemed well organized. I noticed a lot of children this morning, a lot of parents, a lot of families, and but this seems almost a different crowd. Maybe you know, early 20s to the 30s, a lot younger crowd. But all the same, yeah, it is a different crowd here, Tom.
You know, Tyler, speaking...
And a different mood, yes. Yeah, earlier it was more controlled and more organized, but now it seems to have gotten a little bit out of control.
Well, you know, we both have been there before, Tyler, and I can think of many demonstrations where I would show up with a camera, and certainly, you know, folks are aware of when local stations are on live and when the media is active. And it seems that, you know, certainly in this case and perhaps in Phoenix today, you know, demonstrations tend to stir with cameras present. Have the police made any special request of you today to, you know, be in a certain place or do certain things to perhaps quell that a little bit?
No, and I've been in communication with the police, and their public information officer is here and has given media no instructions where to stand or what to do or anything. So we're just you know, doing the best we can to get you the best information and the best pictures on what's happening downtown now.
Are there any, I'm looking across beyond the bicycle officers, the ones, there's some in the foreground now in the background. Are there any people left in the street they're trying to disperse at that intersection at this point?
Well, as you can see, you know, the inner circle where they had those signs, they've busted that up, and now it looks like they're lining up to kind of scoot the rest of the demonstrators off the streets. And yeah, that's exactly what they're doing right now, Tom.
Do you get the impression that is anyone left to be arrested, or that core group in the center, they seem to be gone now and that's sort of over and out? Is that right?
That is absolutely correct, and I'm looking behind me, and some of the police cars are leaving with individuals in custody. So Yeah, it looks like they're getting the rest of the people off the street, kind of slowly scooting. And as we mentioned earlier, Tom, yeah, a lot of times with these demonstrations, there are individuals kind of designated to be arrested, to get their message out. So, but we've watched this whole thing unfold live here, and looks like they got one more person they've taken into custody.
Tyler,
Here he comes.
Pardon me if you've said this already, but do we know how long the demonstrators expected to be out there this evening?
Yeah, well, I was told earlier by an organizer that this thing was supposed to wrap up at 3:30, but more closer up to the courthouses by the fountain. But we've been getting reports all day, and of course I've been here and just kind of watching it escalate, and people not leaving, and it's just getting rowdier and rowdier as the day goes on. But now the street is closed here at Granada in Congress, and there's lots of traffic backed up, people in their cars who don't know what's going on downtown, wondering why they're being detoured and how come it's taken so long to get home.
Yeah, I know we're looking east right now, it looks like, on Congress, and now, turning the corner a little bit there. Tyler, are there cars that are literally frozen in place, the drivers stuck in place because of this right now?
Well, they are being detoured. I can only tell you what's going on west of town. They have a lot of police down there detouring up the frontage roads that goes along the freeway. Coming into town, they let them go in a little bit, and then they detour off to the right back towards the convention center if they need to go that way. But as far as the other side, the east side of Tucson, the downtown, I can't see down there. But
Tyler, I'm watching Lieutenant Fabian Pacheco now, former public information officer, a man we've worked with a lot. And if I have to guess from watching this picture, it looks like the demonstrators are getting a last word of warning before perhaps they're taken away. Is that your read on this?
Yeah, that would be my assessment also. Of course, there are, some demonstrators kind of, as you can see, kind of taunting police, almost provoking them a little bit. But it just, like I said, they've formed this wall of bicycle police, and they have other police with helmets and shields on, and they're doing their best to disperse this crowd without it getting out of control and without making everybody, irate. The last thing they want to see on their hands downtown right now is a riot. But they seem to have things under control, and they are here in force. And I'm looking behind me now, and there's a whole lot more police officers, and they're ready to go. But it seems like the bicycles in the street, they've got the situation under control now.
Tyler, one of the big things going into today from the demonstrators' point of view, both in Phoenix and Tucson, the fact that these people vowed not to carry any identification today, that they were going to show up and make their point, even crossing the line a little bit, and they would not carry identification. Has that been a big issue downtown today, as far as you know?
As far as I know, to tell you the truth, Tom, I don't know. I did hear people earlier, with signs saying, "Hey, we will not comply," and because of the judge's federal injunction yesterday, that says that they don't have to carry their identification, and so maybe they're just trying to make that point even more. But the main issue here is, they're like I said, they're happy with the judge's decision, but they're not completely happy, and one of their main gripes was the ban on ethnic studies. So it's not just SB1070 they're protesting down here. There's a whole host of issues that they're still upset about.
Yeah, I think it looks so. I'm watching Lieutenant Pacheco again, and again, it looks like folks are sort of getting that last word of warning that you need to go here, you need to stay there, and kind of an enough is enough situation downtown now as far as being out in the street.
Yeah, they're just trying to get this place cleared out so they can get the traffic flowing again. I mean, this is a major thoroughfare for many commuters and motorists in Tucson. So
And once
Yeah,
again,
go ahead.
Tyler, I'd say once again about a couple of hundred people left down there. 100 and a half?
Yeah, I would say by now, since we've been talking, there have been, I've noticed some people, kind of going home. I think they feel that the show is over, but there are a lot of people still here. I would say maybe 100 on one corner and maybe 75 on the other corner, and now I'm trying to figure out what police are doing over here. They're setting up a loudspeaker of some sort, maybe to make an announcement. Mike, if you could pan into those police down there. That looks like a speaker, Tom.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe an announcement is to come.
Another announcement. Yeah, I want to let our viewers know you'll be down there, Tyler. We'll continue to monitor this situation certainly throughout the evening, and let folks know, if and when this disperses, when it ends, when traffic will flow again, and when life will return to normal in downtown Tucson. But for now, yeah, no more arrests that you've seen in the last 10 minutes, and everyone seems to be back in their corner.
That is absolutely correct, Tom, and people are cheering right now. If you could pan over to the bicycles coming, we have a group coming in on bicycles, and everyone's applauding. But no, Tom, yeah, we will be here until this thing ends, so stay tuned here, Channel 4, for the latest.
All right, Tyler, thank you for your reporting for most of this half hour. We appreciate it. We're going to go to NBC Nightly News shortly here, but we want to let our viewers know, too, that we're going to continue to monitor the situation. And during NBC Nightly News, if the need presents itself, we will break in to bring you coverage of what's happening downtown. As you can see right now, it seems as though police have a handle on the situation. The demonstrators are keeping to the sidewalks for now. There have been roughly 9 or 10 arrests in the last hour downtown, folks who stayed in that intersection. So we'll leave downtown for now. We'll send you to NBC Nightly News. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 6 o'clock or sooner if the need arises.
On our broadcast.
Yeah, Joel, I was going to say, they're obviously peaceful cyclists at this point, but there is no doubt that is menacing to the officers who are trying to get a control of the situation. And when you've got folks like that circling on those bicycles, it makes the job for the officers that much harder.
I mean, Jennifer, we all know that police work is one of the hardest jobs out there, and these guys are, they're on edge for sure. I mean, they're handling this, I think, very well. But when you have people on bicycles with their faces covered, some of them, and they are clearly taunting the police right now by riding so closely and putting their hands in their face, which they're doing right now. Police have to take the precautions that are necessary. As I said, we hadn't seen this earlier, but they do have some of their batons and hitting sticks out there. And I don't think they're going to use them unless they need to. But right now, they're taking the necessary precautions. Meanwhile, the other demonstrators are just standing their ground here on the corners, continuing their protests. And I think this is going to go on for quite some time tonight, Jennifer.
At this intersection, obviously, it is blocked off right here, right now. What about the streets in all different directions? Are there police cars warning people to stay away from this area?
Well, John takes a shot. You can see straight down Congress here. They are blocking it off, and all the 4 intersections surrounding Congress and Granada are blocked off right now. And there's a significant amount of traffic because there's no thoroughfare for them right here. They need to go around this particular area. And Guy, you've been here for enough years to know that Congress and Granada gets pretty busy. But again, police handling the situation well. Protesters are being quite peaceful at this point. The new element, as Jennifer said, are these bicyclists who are now circling around the southeast corner of Broadway and of Congress and Granada, I should say. And I think if those bicyclists act up, we could see some more action by the cops.
Yeah, I guess the question is how long the police will allow the cyclists to circle as they're doing right now.
Yeah.
It looks like they're on the move once again. The police on the bicycles are coming in this direction, containing us as well as the protesters on the sidewalk here, forming a barricade a little bit closer. They've actually just come, and I'm sure John will show you, right up next to us here. Again, the cyclists, who are the protesters, are still riding in circles. Some of them have stopped. It looks like they're definitely getting spoken to by the authorities, but it definitely does not look like they are backing down anytime soon. It looks like this could go on for quite some time at this point.
Okay, Jessica, thank you, and thank you to Joel as we listen to everyone. We are keeping an eye on our Kagan Not on Your Side Facebook page, on our Twitter page, on our email accounts here at the station. We encourage you to send us any photos or videos you may have. I'm reading an email that's been sent in to us now at kagan9.com. And Joel and Jessica were talking just a minute ago about how some people had said, you know, look, you got to make sure that you cover both sides of the story. And of course, that is what we do here at Kagan Not on Your Side. This particular issue, this story is surrounded by the fact that we have got dozens upon dozens of people impeding traffic downtown. They're under arrest, and it's all because of their protests against SB1070 and Judge Susan Bolton's ruling. I've got an email here from a viewer, Hans Campestrini from Green Valley, who emailed us to say, and I quote, "How disgusting that you have nothing else to report other than 30 minutes of showing law-breaking people blocking downtown streets." Hans, we certainly thank you for your email. Want to let you know that this is a story that is obviously of huge importance to Southern Arizona, and it is affecting a lot of folks. You know, it's downtown rush hour, you know, and we've got traffic that's blocked, we've got people being arrested, and we've got police that are trying to control the situation. It looks like right now they're setting up, it looks like a speaker to me.
Jennifer, that's exactly it. I was trying to get your attention. Police now are going ahead and setting up an what looks like an audio speaker system. They're clearly going to try to talk to the protesters out here via those speakers. Right now, they're just setting it up. You hear the noise you hear behind me is a protester with a megaphone right behind me.
Yeah, it might help, Joel, if you could just step back a little ways from the megaphone so that we could hear you better.
Yeah, Guy, hang on one second.
It looks like
noise, but right now I can tell you that is Lieutenant Galuli with the Tucson Police Department, and he is instructing these protesters, from what I can understand, to disassemble. I'm going to try to hear that a little more clearly, but right now these protesters are chanting over him so they can't hear him. They're doing that on purpose.
As we listen to the deafening sound there, that to me almost sounded like the vuvuzelas that we had to listen to that roar that we listened to for so long with World Cup. But anyhow, we're just going to continue to kind of take a look at this as the officers are standing by, just, you know, trying to keep things in check. And I'm continuing to monitor our Not on Your Side email inbox, and we got another email from viewers Cliff and Nancy, who say that they're not impressed with the news coverage of the day. And they're not just talking about Kagan Not on Your Side. They believe that it's all been characteristically one-sided, biased. Well, we're here to tell you that we're working on all sides of this story, and we certainly appreciate your input, as this is the big story of the day here in Tucson.
Yes.
We're getting some notes here. Go ahead,
Guy and Jennifer.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is Sergeant Kevin Galuli, and what he's saying is that this is now a unlawful assembly. Those are his words, and this is the pronouncement that they gave right before they started making the arrests around 5 o'clock. So I think what we're going to see now, and I don't know this for sure, is probably a new slew of arrests. They're asking all the protesters now on these four corners to disperse, and I think if we don't see that shortly, we might see more arrests of all the protesters, including the person I just spoke to. Now they're chanting freedom of speech, and it's just right now it's a war, literally a war of words. It's the police saying one thing, and then the protesters chanting another thing. And right now their chant for the moment is freedom of speech. And they've certainly gotten that for over the last hour and a half or so.
Okay,
but,
Joel.
Again, Jennifer and Guy, I think we're going to see some more arrests shortly.
Well, and we have to wonder whether you guys are going to be included in that, because from our camera vantage point, our photographer there behind the camera is literally standing next to those protesters and right in front of a line of officers. Have they given you guys any warning yet?
Jennifer, they haven't. And one thing I definitely want to make clear to the people viewing is that we're extremely respectful of the police. We talk to the police. They have created this perimeter. We periodically check in with them to make sure that we are complying with what they want, and that's exactly what we're doing. The police are actually being extremely civil and extremely kind to the people out here. Right now, we've got this one protester that you're staring at who's saying that police and the state of Arizona do not believe in the freedom of speech. And there you hear it.
Okay.
The chant, freedom of speech, Jennifer. So I just do want to point out that we are respectful of the police out here, and we do comply with whatever they tell us to do. And right now, we are behind that perimeter.
Okay, Joel, we want to make clear that also earlier in the day, we've had a few people ask us about the other side of this coverage. Obviously, there are two sides to every story, and as we have seen all along with SB 1070, we've had the folks who are in support of SB 1070, the law, and those who are against it. What we are seeing right now in masses are the folks who are against SB 1070 and the fact that the law was only partially blocked by Judge Susan Bolton. And so it is important for us to tell you that earlier in the day, there was a very small gathering of pro-SB 1070 folks who were near this intersection.
Right.
They've been long gone. So anyone who is on the other side of this issue just isn't there. If they're there, they're somehow blending in, or they're not making their voices heard right now.
Well, Jennifer, there is no formal protest, on the other side of this issue here today. We haven't really seen an organized protest on the other side, even when I was up in Phoenix. It's really the protesters against SB 1070. But I can tell you that a lot of the polls, overwhelmingly, not just in Arizona, but also across the United States, favor this law. And in standing out here on the sidewalk, people obviously see the camera and they come up. And we did have a whole bunch of people about a half hour or so ago who were coming up to us, and they were really upset about these protests. And especially one image, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but the American flag shackled around some people's ankles, looking like they were shackles, exactly that, like cuffs on their feet. They were using an American flag for that, and that really upset some of the people on the other side of this argument. The police now, the reason you're hearing those chants, the police are walking away from this perimeter, and every time they do that, it seems to kind of enlighten and embolden the protesters, and that's why they are chanting and cheering right now. Jessica wants to step in for a second.
I did speak to one of the police officers with TPD who told me that the announcement that they did make about the unlawful protest was directed at that bicycle group. You saw earlier there were bicyclists who were citizens that were just doing circles in the middle of the road as if they were taunting the officers. But the announcement was directed at them. It appears that they've gotten on the sidewalk now. There's a little bit more order restoring in this situation right now.
Okay, Jessica, Joel, thank you. We're going to continue to read off some of the messages that we're getting here at KGUN9.com. We've got one viewer on Twitter who sent us a note that said, hey, where's the weather, Jennifer and Guy? Well, of course, the weather is certainly an important factor around here in southern Arizona, and we know it's monsoon. And I just talked to Aaron Christensen, who said, and I'm looking at the radar right now from the desk, and we are all clear in Tucson for right now. No storms overhead. She said that these folks who are downtown won't be looking at any rain at least for another hour or so, although I do see some storms out toward the Wilcox area down between Green Valley and Sierra Vista. But so there you go. That was sent from James Giacomino. So James, there you go.
Okay. We can tell you that, again, this is from the Associated Press today, that California, Texas, and New Mexico say they're on track to meet the federal government's timeline for lining the Mexican border with about 1,200 National Guard troops. Military officials say the first troops are expected to be in place in Texas and New Mexico by mid-August, and more than 1,000 troops are on track to be along the border in those two states, plus California and here in Arizona by the end of September.
We also want to remind you, as we mentioned a short time ago, that Judge Susan Bolton, the federal judge in Phoenix, that ordered the partial injunction on SB 1070, has been receiving threats. She's received a lot of feedback since her ruling was announced yesterday, and some folks unhappy with her. One side or the other have sent some not so nice messages her way, so we want to let you know that that's going on as well. Getting that in from the Associated Press. Let's see. We're looking at something else from the Associated Press right now that's saying Los Angeles police have arrested 10 people who blocked an intersection there to protest our new immigration law. We've got protests all over the country right now, from New York to LA. I mean, literally, major cities across the country, we are seeing the same kind of scene play out, and we are hearing about and seeing arrests from New York to California. We had Sergio Avila, who was up in Phoenix earlier today, who witnessed the same kind of thing. So again, LA police say they've arrested 10 people out of about 200 protesters that gathered at a busy intersection there. Our last count looked like maybe half a dozen arrests here in Tucson, but to tell you the truth, there could have been more going on that we did not see. So we are continuing to keep an eye on what is going on in downtown Tucson. There's Jessica Chapin. She's coming over to the camera with Joel Waldman. Guys, it looks like you have someone there who may be willing to talk with us.
Hey, Jennifer, real hard to hear you right now, but you were just mentioning about people coming from out of state, and this woman, I didn't catch your first name, but you came from Connecticut for this?
Yes, I came from Connecticut.
And tell me, you said you're representing New England. Why is it so important for you to be out here?
Well, in New England, there are lots of immigrants as well. So anything that happens here is going to reverberate across the country at some point.
We're getting a lot of reports right now. The reason I pulled you over is we're getting reports of intersections being blocked and arrests in other states. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me, because this country is made up of so many immigrants, and immigrants are going to respond to this, because it means that our families, our communities are under threat. And so they're bound to respond to this. And the reason that I'm here is to lend support, but also in anticipation of other action happening in my region of the country, so that we can prepare churches and members of churches to respond in a Christian way.
Let me ask you a question, and Jennifer just alluded to this. There were people out here with signs, and I should add, the traffic just started to move again, so police did a good job in clearing this out. But one of the signs that was up here today said, "No borders." I mean, where do you draw the line? This is a country of laws, is it not?
It is a country of laws. But I'm going from my profession and my vocation, and according to our Christian faith, there are no borders. There are no races. There are no differences. So from that perspective, from a theological perspective, there are no borders. Now, yes, countries have a right to have borders, but how do we treat people?
Again, where do you draw that line in the sand? I mean, because what the people who are in favor of SB1070 talk about is the differentiation between what is legal and illegal immigrants. And if people are coming out over here and they're not here legally, they are thereby breaking the law, aren't they?
They're breaking man's law. Are they breaking divine law? Divine law says we treat everyone humanely because we were all created from one. And that's the law, certainly from the Christian faith. That's where we come from. That's our worldview. That's our point of view.
Do you ever fear an anarchist government, an anarchist system, if you just allow God's will in essence to take over and you just disavow these other laws?
No, that's not going to happen. There's order in God's law. There's order in God's kingdom. There isn't disorder. So that's not going to happen.
How long do you plan to stay out here?
I am out here until Saturday. I've been here for the week with the Border Links delegation, and we've been doing various actions. We've gone across the border to Mexico to see the conditions in which people live and people try to cross the border. So we're doing a comprehensive action, not just in protests against it today.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you. And Jennifer, there you see it. I mean, people from all over the country are here. There's a woman before her who was here from Oakland, California, talking about that. I could hear you mentioning some arrests nationwide. People are very passionate about this, and these are not just Mexican Americans. These are people from all races and colors, shapes and sizes from all across the United States.
Okay, Joel, thank you. We continue to receive emails to the KGUN 9 On Your Side newsroom. One of the emails that we got, our viewer was basically saying, where's the rest of the local news for the day? What else is going on here in southern Arizona? Well, I can tell you that this is going on. This is the big story of the day. This is what we had planned to cover from the beginning from our 5 o'clock newscast. The additional news of the day included the Phoenix protest. We were going to tell you about that, which we have done briefly. We were going to tell you about the protests and the arrest from New York to California. We've done that. We also wanted to tell you that Governor Brewer has filed her notice to file an appeal with the appellate courts. She is appealing Judge Bolton's ruling, so that was also on our slate of news for the day. We also have a question of the day at KGUN9.com, so if you'd like to head to KGUN9.com and partake in our question of the day, it does pertain to Governor Brewer's decision to file an appeal. We want to know, what do you think? Do you think that her appeal is going to be successful? If you'd like to answer that question, head to KGUN9.com. Let us know what you think. So that was another part of our news of the day. We also we're going to tell you a little bit about the deadline that it looks like is going to pass before we see any National Guard troops on the border. We initially were told that we would see some troops August 1st. Now it's looking more like September.
So probably more towards September for Arizona, but those troops should be there sometime early fall.
Some of the other news that we had planned to cover today that we have not gotten to because of this major breaking news situation in downtown included the forecast, obviously, and I was just talking to Aaron Christensen just a moment ago, and for right now, we've got no severe weather over the Tucson metro area. In fact, Pima County looks pretty darn good right now. We are seeing some major storms over the Wilcox, Safford area, down toward Douglas and Sierra Vista, but nothing in the Tucson metro area. We also are working on a follow-up to the helicopter crash that we saw in Midtown yesterday. I was out there all afternoon yesterday, and Tammy Vo is on the story today, so she will follow up to that situation. We now know the names of the 3 people who died in that helicopter crash, so we'll have that tonight at 10 o'clock as well. So, you guys are asking us what's going on with the news. We're not hearing anything else other than this protest. Well, this is the big news of the day, folks, but, we did want to give you just kind of a brief rundown of what else was going on today, and that's pretty much an abridged version of what was going to be our 5 o'clock newscast.
Plenty of people are emailing us regarding not only this protest, but also the coverage, and we'll give you some of that in just a minute. But first, let's go to Jessica Chapin.
Jennifer Guy, I don't know if you can see this, if John would pan over a little bit here. It appears that traffic has opened back up in this intersection. Again, the protesters are now containing themselves to the 4 different corners of the sidewalk at this intersection. So traffic is once again free-flowing through downtown Tucson here at Broadway and Congress, where we are located.
All right. Thanks, Jessica.
And one of the emails we've received is from Stuart. Shame on you people, referring to us, for only showing the people against SB1070. 70% plus support this bill, and you know it. Shame on you people. I can only guess that your producer is a Mexican calling the shots.
Well, we certainly are aware of the poll numbers, and yes, you are right about that. You are incorrect, however, about our producer. You certainly wouldn't know any of that. But, folks, this, no matter what side you stand on, this is the big news in Tucson right now. If you are on the other side of this, if you are pro SB 1070, if you would like to see a little bit more coverage from the other side, why don't you give us a call? Give us a call here at the station and let us know what you think. And if you've got something that you'd like to say, then maybe we'll think about putting that on the air. But, right now we're rolling with the news.
Another email comes from Dwight. It is absolutely ridiculous that the Tucson police are letting a group of people shut down traffic in the city. This only proves the point that Tucson is a sanctuary city for illegal aliens. The police chief should be relieved of duty for this inaction. As noted by other viewers, the media continues their bias. Please don't continue to lie and say that you cover both sides of the story. Residents of Tucson are not that stupid.
Beth Cunningham sent us an email that says, I am enjoying every second that Channel 9 is showing, and I will continue to watch as you are showing it right now. Thank you for the great coverage of what is going on.
And that's seconded by Lee Gardner, saying thanks so much for your extended coverage of the protest tonight. And then you've got this from James Elliott. Please, folks, use your God-given sense. You and only you have the ability to end the protest. Remove your coverage and the protesters will have no reason to continue. As long as you are there to publish their view, they will continue. Go home and take your fellow media with you.
Martha Lynch says, I'm watching your coverage at the moment, and there is nothing wrong with you covering this protest. People need to know the news, good or bad, and thank you. That's from Martha Lynch.
Why are you wasting time? This comes from Chuck Brill. Why are you wasting time on these punks? They are just looking for the camera. Why are you interviewing these idiots? And another one from Mike and Becky Dees says simply ridiculous.
Well, it seems to have quieted down now. This is at Congress and Granada. Just as it quiets down, it pipes back up again. Jessica, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to agree with you. They do seem to be calming down, well, at least more calm than they were before. We can remember just about half an hour ago, these protesters and more of them were in the middle of the street, and they were getting arrested. Multiple people arrested today during this protest. Now they have confined themselves to the sidewalk according to the police orders they were given, and it looks like they're no longer stepping out into the street. They're no longer risking the arrests, and the officers, again, seem calm, collected. The arresting officers that were out here earlier have left, so it's no telling how long this will go on like this.
Jessica, we're going through some of the emails that our viewers are sending in to us with their comments, not only about what's going on downtown, but about our coverage of it and in our honest efforts to be fair and balanced. We're reading the emails regardless of who they come from and their point of view. This one I thought was interesting. Kenneth Backus of Tucson sent us an email that said if your cameras would leave downtown, the protesters would leave. Well, we certainly know, and we have already stated several times during this special coverage here, that these folks are doing what they're doing and are getting the coverage that they want. We certainly understand that. There is no denying, however, that this is a major Tucson story. Not only Tucson, but this is a story that is playing out across the United States right now. And at this point, I would venture to guess that if our cameras left, these people probably wouldn't. They've got a goal, they've got an aim, and they're probably going to carry this out for as long as they can stand there and not get arrested.
From Judith Malin, I think your coverage is great. You and the police have done a great job. From Neil Netley, this protest needs to be fully covered regardless what the Green Valley rednecks say. From Anonymous, the protesters need to understand that they're in the U.S. They need to comply just like anyone from any other country coming here to the U.S. We are U.S. citizens, and we have to prove we're here legally. Why shouldn't all foreigners?
All right, I've got to admit to something. As we were watching the protesters down here just a minute ago, we were saying that if you had, an opposing point of view on this, to email us, maybe send us your emails, give us a call, let us know what you think. Well, I think that got me in a little bit of trouble because our newsroom has been absolutely flooded with calls, and as a result of that, we've had to direct our calls to voicemail. We certainly appreciate your input. We appreciate your point of view. However, it has been overwhelming to our newsroom, so I think I've got to apologize to our assignment desk because they're probably ready to pull out their hair right now because of all the phone calls that are coming in. But, we want you guys to know we're making every effort to be fair and balanced in this reporting. And so that's why we're continuing to bring you not only the images that we're seeing here, but some of the emails that are coming in as well. Let's see. This one is from Jesse and Sherry Lynn from Wilcox. They say, I think the news coverage is great. I do not believe that those protesting the law have actually read this law. They all seem to believe it's okay to break the law and be here illegally. If I break the law, they say, I go to jail. Why should anyone be exempt from that? If you are illegally here, then that's breaking the law, right? The police are sworn to uphold the law. Let them do their job.
Joel and Jessica, are you still out there?
Guy, I'm here now. I actually just went over to try to speak to Lieutenant Pacheco and Sergeant Diana Lopez, and they've arrested enough people that at this point they don't have a firm count on how many people they've arrested. They say they're going to try to compile those figures over the next few minutes and try to get them to us. Right now they're still processing those people. We're not sure if they're actually going to be booked into the county jail. What they've done in the past is just basically issue kind of a warning to these people and then release them out of their custody, out of police custody. And I imagine that's what's going to happen in this case, but we're not sure. And the lieutenant himself didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Earlier on, we saw those bicyclists. They have stopped riding their bikes. They're on the other side of the street behind this camera now, really not posing a threat. And at this point, as you can see by the vantage point, almost everybody is on the four corners of Congress and Granada. and they are just picking slogans and chants, and they are being peaceful, and the cops are doing an outstanding job.
All right, Joel, another email from Brody Caudle, it looks like. What I want to know is why these reporters are not asking protesters why they think they should be the only ones allowed to break our laws. Or why aren't they protesting Mexico's immigration laws? Or have they actually read the U.S. Constitution, federal immigration laws, and SB 1070? Asking wimpy questions to an illegal kid who obviously does not know what choreograph means is ridiculous.
We just, for the record, have no way of knowing who in this crowd is legal, who is illegal. We do have our two reporters on the scene, Joel Waldman and Jessica Chapin, who have been working very hard, even behind the scenes. When you don't see them and you don't hear them, that doesn't mean they're not working. So they are certainly out there talking to folks, talking to police officers, working to get the best information they can get. I'm taking a look at our Facebook page right now. We've had a lot of folks post to that. Rachel Sellers says the coverage right now is a total waste. You are fueling the flames. People are protesting to support criminals. Go report something useful like the facts, not misinformed, howling protesters. Stephanie, I apologize because I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I'm not sure I would get it right. But Stephanie on Facebook says, I've been watching the protest in Tucson. I have one question. Why is it okay for the Mexican community to break the law and get away with it? Maybe they need to look up the word illegal and the definition. Please, someone that has some since save Arizona. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that means. Sorry about that. Madeline Rose Page says, thank you for your coverage of the protest. And Kitty Rodriguez says, I think you guys reporting the protest is very important to Tucson and the state of Arizona because the people need to see what's going on and how people feel against this law. This is major. Good job on reporting, guys.
And on the other side of that, Max Calvin, I think that this hour of news was probably the worst time of news that you've ever done. Wasted the entire newscast on what may be 30 or 40 people downtown.
Well, these are your feelings, folks, and we have no problem expressing them through these emails as we continue our coverage here. We want to thank you for being with us. It is now just 10 seconds before 6 o'clock, and we want to welcome you to KGUN 9 on your side at 6. I'm Jennifer Waddell.
And I'm Guy Atchley.
We want to let you know that we are going to continue our coverage for the next few minutes of the protests in downtown Tucson, Granada and Congress, and that is where we find Joel Waldman right now.
Hey, Jennifer, you caught me at a good time right now. There's actually a lull, no noise for the first time since about 3:30 today. The protesters are taking a little bit of a break. A few more people have come out here with signs. If you're watching and now they know that we're on TV, here come the chants. They are making the media definitely worth their while. There's a few different TV stations out here, obviously, and I might add some stations from as far away as Tokyo that I spoke with out here today. But if you were watching our news, you know, for over the last hour and a half, and when you guys tuned in at 5 o'clock, the protesters have been out here to actually block the intersection of Congress and Granada. There was a few hundred people out there. Lieutenant Pacheco with TPD came out and said, hey, you guys have about an hour to do your thing. After that, we're going to make some arrests. That's exactly what they did. They came out here and they arrested these protesters and they expanded the perimeter out here to the sidewalks, and that's where the protesters are right now. And it's pretty hot out here. Jennifer and Guy and Aaron will talk about the temperatures, but I think that some of these protesters are finally petering out a little bit from all this heat. Again, taking a little bit of a break, but they are definitely making their voices heard as far as their disapproval of even parts of SB 1070 going into effect. Jennifer and Guy?
Joel, one question before we move on, and that is, do we know how many protesters were arrested during the last hour there downtown?
Guy did just speak to Lieutenant Pacheco. They are processing those numbers. It was enough that they don't know how many they arrested exactly. If I had to guess right now, I'd say somewhere between 15 and 20. That'd be my guess. That's what it looked like to us. We'll get those official numbers. We'll have that for you at 10 o'clock. And again, Jennifer and Guy, it is important to point out that there is another side to the story. I did talk to some people earlier. We haven't had a chance to get that on the air, but tonight at 10 o'clock, you will see the flip side of this argument and why people are so heated and so angry with some of these protesters. Jennifer and Guy.
All right, Joel Waldman, thank you.
Protesters in Phoenix, not content with a partial injunction to SB 1070, took to the streets today to make an aggressive stand.
Yeah, dozens of people were arrested as they stood in defiance to law enforcement who were ordering them to move. KGUN 9 on your sides, Sergio Avila was in the middle of the action and continues our team coverage.
Tensions were at their highest when deputies and protesters faced off in front of Sheriff Joe Arpaio's jail in downtown Phoenix. Some disobeyed officers and taunted them. They were hauled off to jail. Those arrests didn't stop anyone from protesting. At one point, a group of activists formed a chain at the entrance of the jail and were taken in one by one. This man even dragged into the crowd of deputies.
And they continue to do this because they feel that there is no other way to get the attention of Obama and his administration.
At times, the law that they were protesting seemed to get lost in the emotion.
It seems almost that this sort of has become bigger than SB1070, that it's not just about that anymore, that it's more of a whole, just the whole theme of illegal immigration.
Well, of course it is, and if you wanted to trace it back to the flawed policy that the government has had for some years.
Devin Fleenor even went as far as handcuffing himself to the jail. Deputies eventually freed him using bolt cutters and let him go. A small handful of supporters of the law had arguments with opponents, but nothing more. They wanted to make sure their side was represented.
You sort of feel outnumbered at this point? I mean, there's
very
plenty...
much so, but you know, these people are radicals. You know, what can we do? You know, most normal people don't act and react like this.
Reporting in Phoenix, Sergio Avi, KGUN 9 on your side.
By the way, organizers of the protest tell us they were going to remain at the jail until everyone who was arrested today is released. Meanwhile, Sheriff Joe Arpaio's latest immigration sweep is underway, and the extra tents are ready at the Maricopa County Jail. It is Arpaio's 17th sweep, and it got underway a few hours late so deputies could deal with protesters at the jail. 5 people ended up under arrest and 9 on your side was there. We will have a full report on that tonight at 10. And we have another look at today's developments surrounding SB 1070. As expected, lawyers for Governor Jan Brewer filed an appeal to yesterday's ruling that put several key elements of SB 1070 on hold. Even with yesterday's ruling, protesters still took to the streets today, as you have seen. Here in Tucson, protesters spent the night downtown and have been demonstrating ever since, forcing police to close some of those downtown streets. And in Maricopa County, dozens of arrests as protesters blocked the entrance to the jail. After that, Sheriff Joe began his 17th illegal immigration sweep. We want you to join the conversation on this, as you have been doing for the past hour. You can answer our question of the day. In addition to sending your emails, we want to know, do you think Governor Brewer's appeal of Judge Bolton's ruling will be successful? Let us know what you think at kgun9.com. We have other news of the day, including a follow-up to the deadly chopper crash in Midtown Tucson yesterday.
And we'll have that when we come back.